All right. So, good evening, everybody. I'm Sheila Oliver, and this is Get Started with WordPress. So, how many of you are using WordPress? You can just type in the chat box, yes. Have you been using it for a while? Are you ever frustrated? I hear all the time that people say, oh, everybody said use WordPress because it's so easy to use. And that's okay for some people. But some, Scott said liars, yes. Some of them were lying. Well, and it's not that it's not easy to use, right? It's that it is, I guess it depends on your comfort level. Some people don't have the comfort level to get it, to use it all the time. Robin, you have never used it? I'm surprised. Okay, that's why you're here. Good. Okay, so WordPress actually is very easy to use once you know what you're doing, okay? So tonight what I'd like to do is spend the next 45 minutes or so talking about why WordPress is good and giving you an overview of how WordPress works so that you can see that it's not all that difficult to use. And once you start using it, it's really not that difficult. It's much easier to use once you're familiar with where everything is at, okay? So let's get started. What is WordPress? The great thing about WordPress is it's a web-based application. That means that you don't have to download any software or anything like that. You don't have to have it on your computer. You can work on your website wherever you are, as long as you have an internet connection and a web browser. So that's all you need. It's a content management system. So if you don't understand the concept of a content management system, that means that your content, how your pages get made, or the technology behind that, and your content, actual words, images, documents, all of that kind of stuff is all held in 3 separate buckets and then used whenever your web page, or you click on a link that asks you for that web page, okay? Yeah, I think whoever it was that's not muted anymore is now muted, I think, because I don't hear the wrestling anymore. So it's a powerful publishing platform. It's powerful because a lot of people use it. So over 25% of the internet is now run on WordPress websites. Okay, it's open source. That means free. That means it costs you nothing to download and use the software. I'm going to talk about the free version and the paid version. If you're not familiar, there is 2 different versions. It is easy to learn and use. I will say that it's easy to use once you learn how to do it. And there are a lot of tutorials and stuff like that that are all out there that can help you learn it. I teach it. I love teaching it because I love when people say, oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be so hard, and this really isn't as bad as I thought it was. Okay? And it's designed to be extensible, which means it can be as simple and basic, or as advanced and customized as you want it to be, okay? All right, so why WordPress? Well, it's low cost. It links to social media. It's very easy to get your content back and forth from your WordPress website into your social media to share that information. It is extremely search engine friendly, meaning that in and of itself, you don't have to do anything but put up your WordPress website to start getting indexed immediately, okay? Google loves WordPress. because you do all the work. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. It's extensible because it has lots of widgets and plugins. Don't worry if you don't know what those means. I'm going to tell you what those are. But it adds more functionality and kind of customization to your site. It also has themes. You don't have to worry about knowing where everything lays out on the page and stuff like that, because WordPress will do that for you. There's themes already installed with WordPress. There's lots and lots and lots, hundreds of themes in the library that comes with WordPress. Again, it can be simple or complex, just depending on what your needs. WordPress is like the app, right? There's an app for that. There is a plugin, kind of stuff like that can give you the functionality that you want and need right within WordPress, okay? So let's talk about the two different versions of WordPress. There is WordPress.org, which is what we call the self-hosted version of WordPress. It is free. You'll see that one on the left side of your screen that says WordPress.org. You can download. Notice that it has a link to download. However, you don't have to go to WordPress.org to download the site. Most web hosting companies now have what they call a one-click install, or you can install right from the hosting. A lot of companies now are going to specific WordPress hosted websites where you sign up for hosting, they install WordPress for you, and you don't even see anything until you get the little link for your administrative panel. It's free to download and to use and customize any way you want it. With WordPress.org, you have the ability to add lots of different themes or use a bunch of different themes, customize those themes. You also have the ability to use plugins, okay? The only cost associated with using the WordPress.org version or the self-hosted version is that you have to have a domain name and a hosting. So whether you go to GoDaddy or Bluehost or wherever you domain, register your domain, domains.com, cheap domain, there's like literally thousands of them out there that you can use. And your hosting, GoDaddy, Bluehost, HostMonster, HostGator, SiteGround, they all have what we call the one-click install. So you can go to your applications in the cPanel, you can click on it and install it. It's going to ask you for administrative username and a password. It does all the work for you, which is kind of cool. WordPress.com is the hosted version that is created by the company called Automatic. They own WordPress and that WordPress.com platform. You can create a website for free. What you get for free is a domain name that says your company name .wordpress.com. Now, you can upgrade so that you can register your domain name through WordPress.com. However, I highly recommend that you don't do that because there's quite a few drawbacks. If you are just planning on doing a blog, you just want to have some place to put your thoughts, then WordPress.com is fine. You are limited to 3 gigabytes of space on WordPress.com because it's on their server. So you don't have to have a domain name, you don't have to have a host, you don't need any of that. You can just go to WordPress.com, sign up for an account, and be all set. You cannot advertise. So if you are doing affiliate marketing or something like that, you do not have the ability to do that on WordPress.com. You are also limited to the themes that are available in WordPress.com because those are available through that whole platform. You can't customize those. So with the themes for a self-hosted website on your own domain name. You can customize any theme. However, in WordPress.com, you can't. Also, in WordPress.com, you do not have access to third-party plugins. So you have to use what's already on the WordPress.com platform for forms, galleries, all of that kind of stuff. You can't go out. Maybe you go in, you go to somebody's website and you see this great calendar plugin and you're like, oh, I want that on my website. Well, if it's not already in the repository at WordPress.com, you can't use it, okay? So WordPress.com is a great place to start to get familiar with how WordPress works and creating pages and posts and stuff like that. But really, ideally, if you're going to use it for more than just a blog, then you really should consider buying your domain name and hosting. It's not that expensive. You can buy your domain name and get a hosting account for less than $100 a year. So it's very, very inexpensive to do that, okay? All right, so let's talk now about the pieces of WordPress. So we're going to talk about pages and posts. So there are two different platforms or two different parts of them. Pages and posts is how you get your content into WordPress, okay? So pages are for content that is less time sensitive. Think about your pages as like your static web pages, or what would you consider to be your static web pages? They're pages that you're putting out information, but they're not really going to change. So for an example, your contact us page. You should have a contact us page that gives everybody your physical address if you have one, a mailing address, email address, phone numbers, fax numbers, however, all kinds of different ways for them to contact you. That is a static page. You're not changing that page on a regular basis, right? You're putting up your information, it's there. So that's what you want to use pages for. Pages can't be categorized. So you want to use them for information that's not time dependent, that it's or more evergreen, okay? So pages can be organized into sub pages. So I can have a parent page and then I can have a page under that. What do I mean by that? Let's take our About Us page. Again, an About Us page is going to be a static page. We're going to use it as a page because we really don't need to index it, and we're not changing that information, okay? But maybe under my About Us page, I want to have a new page that lists all the team members, and I want that to be separate from like the company page and then team members pages. So what I would do is I would add a new page and I would make the About Us page the parent page. And I'm gonna go into WordPress when we get through with this so that you can kind of see what that looks like. Once you get, when you start layering your pages like that, that also becomes your navigation, what we call drop-down menu. So on your navigation, it'll say About Us if you hover over it. If you have any pages that are the child to that parent page, those will show up in your navigation, okay? Pages can also have different templates. A template is how the page is laid out. So in other words, we can have a standard page that has a right sidebar or a left sidebar, or both a right and left sidebar. We can make it a full screen or a full page where there's no sidebars at all. That's helpful because I might create a page that is specifically for an event or something that I'm doing, and I don't want all of the sidebar stuff all around it. I can make it a full width page, still part of my overall theme and my site, but I can take away the elements that I don't need. We'll talk a little bit more about that in templates as well, because that's very dependent. How many page templates you have is very dependent on the theme that you choose, which is the look and feel, okay? Posts are the fun part of WordPress. Think of post as the conversations you're having with your audience. This is where you're going to put the bulk of your content. Whether you want to call it a blog or not, I've worked with so many people that say, oh, I don't want a blog. Okay, well, what kind of information do you want to put out? Well, I want to talk about painting your living room. Okay, so are you going to have one page on painting your living room, or are there going to be many, many topics? Well, there's going to be many topics. Okay, so then you want to do a post instead of a page. So a post allows you to create categories and then put more and more content under that category without having to have a huge page. Anybody ever create a website in HTML? And you had to keep adding and adding and adding to the page, and then it became a nightmare to work with. It's also not very easily indexed that way. Because you can create categories, I can put a list of the categories, and then when somebody comes in to my website and they want to look for a specific set of information, all they have to do is click on the category and they'll see every single post that is assigned to that category, okay? Post is what makes WordPress so search engine friendly, because you are deciding what the categories are. You are putting the information in the categories. Therefore, Google and all the other search engines really don't have to do anything. They just have to go to your categories list and index everything in that category. So why is it search engine friendly? Because you already have done the work. Google doesn't have to. The next part is plugins and widgets. So what are these? Plugins. They're mini programs and they add functionality to your site. Now, WordPress, but in and of itself, has a little bit of functionality with widgets you can use and stuff like that. But most of the time, you may need to add some kind of plugin, whether you want to have a calendar or have people sign up for events, or maybe you're an artist and you want to show your work, so you want some kind of gallery plugin. While you can do a gallery kind of thing within the original WordPress, it doesn't work well if you really want to showcase your products or your art. As far as products, WordPress can be an e-commerce because there are plugins for that. And we'll look at some of those plugins as well, okay? Widgets. So widgets are they're kind of the areas where you can put functionality. Now, WordPress comes with a few widgets already built in, so you can put a calendar. Well, the calendar that is in the widget is not really a widget. I mean, it's not anything that you can use as a calendar. So I can't say, okay, on this day I'm going to do this. The calendar that comes with WordPress is just a calendar that shows when you posted information, when you added posts. So, but there are other kinds of plugins widgets that allow you to show your most recent posts. So you can show your 5 latest posts in a sidebar. Widgets, usually the widget area where you would put widgets are in your sidebar. Sometimes it'll be in the header above your content, and a lot of times it will be in footers. So most of the time it's sidebars and footers. Those are the 2 common areas to put in widgets, okay? So to get plugins in, it makes it very easy. You go into the plugins section of WordPress and you will see a list of all of the plugins that are already installed. Now, there are 2 plugins that come automatically with WordPress. One is called a Kismet, which is a spam program that helps you if you're going to allow information on your site or people to comment on your information. Then that helps get rid of the spam bots so that you get rid of all of the junk that gets inundated, because you will get inundated with lots and lots of junk if you are allowing comments on your site, okay? To add a new one, you would click on the Add New button, and then there is a library of plugins that you can search through. And so when you go into the Add Plugins, you come up to a featured list, and there'll be probably, I don't know, a dozen or so plugins that are featured. There is also a search box, so you can just type whatever functionality you're looking for. So if you're looking for a calendar, you would type in calendar. I was looking for a simple contact form, so I typed in contact form. I was looking for a product catalog. I didn't need to do e-commerce, but I wanted some way to display several products in a nice format with their own single pages, all that kind of stuff. So I typed in product catalog. Plugins are great. There's good and there's bad. So when you're going through your plugins, you want to look for ones that have been downloaded a lot, that have really good reviews, 3, 4, 5 stars. I tend not to use any plugins that are less than 3 stars because usually they're not tried. There's usually some bugs in them and stuff like that. Once you start adding plugins, you will, at least for me, I see the developers who are adding them. I probably use plugins more than you do because I add plugins to all my customer sites. So I see a wider range of them. You will learn what developers are really good. Things to keep in mind with plugins. You want to make sure that they have a 3-star or better rating. You want to make sure that they've been downloaded several times. If it says that, you know, it's been downloaded 10,000 times or 1,000 times and it has 1 rating or 1 review, somebody has gone in and reviewed it, who do you think wrote the review? It's the developer. So they do that. So they go in and they write a review that gives them 5 stars, and it's usually, or their friend, you know. So you want to make sure that the review is based on not just the developer and their close knit of friends that rated it, okay? You also want to make sure that it's up to date. There are 2 things that you will notice. It'll say the last updated date. So you want to make sure that you're doing something that hasn't been updated for months and months. Especially if you're in WordPress and your WordPress software is continually updating, you want to make sure that the plugins are continually updating with them, okay? Especially when you go from major changes. Major changes are from like 4 to 4.5. When you get into 4.5.1, 4.5.2, those are minor changes. They're not, you don't necessarily have to have the plugin upgrade every single time there's a new upgrade. But if you go from 4.5 to 4.6 or to 4.7, something like that, you want to make sure that the plugin is compatible with your latest version. There is a line on the plugin that says, and it'll be check marked, it'll say compatible with your current version, or it will say has not been tested. All that means is that it could break if you trust the developer. It could be that maybe one little thing in the code itself might contradict with a new WordPress platform, but that doesn't always mean that it's going to break. There's been plenty of times that I use plugins that will come up. They've been compatible, and it'll say, oh, it's now not compatible, just because they haven't really tested it through, okay? Plugins also have widgets that come with them. So in other words, let's say we have a calendar plugin. So if you go to, I want you to be able to go to my website and see all of my webinars that I'm doing, okay? But I want to show you on, I'm going to create a calendar page that's going to have the full calendar where you can see all of the different things that are happening, usually in a month view. But I might want to put a little widget in my sidebar that says this is the next event that's coming up. So a plugin can also have a widget component to it. Plugins give you functionality internally and externally. So plugins, like calendars, galleries, that kind of stuff, which are for your visitors' benefit. There are also plugins for your benefit. Things like what we call a WYSIWYG editor in WordPress, so that you can change your font color and change your font size and stuff like that. More in-depth kind of stuff like that. There's also, like, my favorite is the Yoast SEO plugin that allows me to go in and optimize each one of my pages and posts for search engine rankings. The people on the outside, visitors coming to my website, don't even know that's there. It's an internal plugin that I use, okay? So there's functionality, both internal functionality, what makes it easier for you to work with WordPress. There's also external functionality that helps your visitors with how they come to your website, okay? So these are the default widgets: archives, calendar, categories, custom menus, meta, pages. These allow you to take little pieces of information and, again, stick them in a sidebar, a footer, something like that. The widgets area is really easy to use. It's literally drag and drop. So you see a list of available widgets. If you don't have any kind of plugins that you're using, you're only going to see this default list of plugins, of widgets. If you add more, if you add plugins, then you're more likely to see other kinds of widgets that you can use. And literally, you have a list of the available widgets. You have a widget area. Themes, different themes will have more than one. Again, it could be in a sidebar, it could be in a footer. Some of them have header widgets. Just depends on the theme that you're using, okay? But I can literally drag and drop them, and I can remove them the same way. I can drag them off the widget area or drag them into the widget area. I can rearrange them, again, simply dragging and dropping them, okay? The last part is themes. So notice that we went from content to plugins and widgets, and then themes last. Here's why I say worry about your theme last. Because a lot of times we have a grand idea of what we want our site to look like. And that's what the theme controls: your colors, typography, backgrounds, headers, sidebars, all that kind of stuff. However, once we pick a theme and then we start to put our content in, and then we realize that the content really doesn't match the theme that we're trying to use. So I find it very helpful to go in and create pages and post first. Especially your pages. Go in before you pick a theme, just use the default theme that WordPress comes with. until you get some content in there. Because inevitably what happens is you say, okay, I have this content and I want this content to be here and this content to be here, but you liked the theme and that theme doesn't support how you want to use your content or present your content. So I find with my clients that I find it much simpler to put the content in first and then say, okay, now that you know what the content is, really what do you want to do with the content? And then you can find your theme that's going to support that. So the theme, there are, again, hundreds of themes in the theme depository inside of WordPress itself. It controls the color scheme, the typography, all of that kind of stuff. How many sidebars you have, if you have footer areas, all different kinds of things like that. Also, it can control what your home page looks like. So you can have a totally different home page than the rest of your site. Different themes have a layout for the home page. Then they have a layout for regular pages like contact us, about us, that kind of stuff. And they'll have a whole different page layout for your blog posts, okay? So you really just have to go in and look at the themes to see what it is that you're trying to do. Now there is a theme filter. However, I don't think it works well. So I end up looking through a lot of themes at one time before I really am able to find something that I want to use. Themes also get ratings. With themes and with plugins, in order to rate them, you have to go to wordpress.org and sign up for a WordPress account. It's free of charge, but if you want to be able to rate any theme or any plugin, or if you want to use their support system, they require you to have an account. And it's all you have to do is go in, sign in with your regular email, create an account with your email and a password, and then you can go in and maybe you're using a plugin that is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Each plugin has a support section where you can actually write to the developer and with your issue, and they're really good about getting back to you. So I have a plugin that I'm using, bought the paid version for a client that I'm working with, and have had several not so much issues, but trying to customize it the way I want to customize it and not being able to find the right code. Was able to submit to them and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. And they've gotten right back to me and said, okay, this is the code you need. This is where you need to put it. All good. Okay. So, whoops. Go back. So again, when you click on themes in your dashboard, you will see the list of themes installed. Now, you can have more than one theme installed in your WordPress backend. However, you can only have one theme active at a time. So you can't go in and say, well, I like this part of this theme and this part of this theme. Can I combine them or have them both active at the same time? No. Only one theme can be active at one time. So I know people I've known people that have gone in and found like holiday themes. So they'll change their theme out at Christmas with like some kind of Christmas theme, or some people will do it. I'm guilty of this. I'm always looking at themes. So I'm like, ooh, I like this one. I can go change it. The good thing is that yes, you can change it out and not have to worry about your content. With old HTML sites, you're actually creating every single page. With WordPress, you're not. You're picking the theme. Your content is held in a database. And then when I say this page, I want this information to come on this page, on the About Us page, it goes into the database, it finds all the words, the images, everything it needs, and it creates the page dynamically, okay? So there are no static pages really on your site. It's all being controlled dynamically depending on what you click on, which means your theme or the look and feel of your site is totally separate from your content. Your content is always going to be there, which means that I can create pages and change my theme anytime I want to, and those pages will automatically pick up the styling of whatever theme I choose, okay? Any questions so far? I don't see any questions. Okay, so Claire wants to know, is there a limit to the number of pages you can have? As far as WordPress is concerned, no. The only limit to the amount of pages is your hosting. So whatever you're hosting, most hosts give you 5, 10, sometimes 20 gigabytes of space. That's a lot of data. You could have literally thousands of pages with content on them. So there really is no, WordPress doesn't limit you. It's not like if you've gone to some of the site builders like GoDaddy. I know GoDaddy gives you a 5-page package and a 10-page package, that kind of thing. You don't have those limitations with WordPress. It's only however much space you have on your web host server, okay? Okay. So Claire says, do you have a favorite host? I have been hosting with GoDaddy for years and years and years. I know people don't like GoDaddy, but I've been literally 10 years or so. Okay, so now I think I stopped sharing, but so I want to go out to WordPress. I recently started using SiteGround. They are comparable to pricing with GoDaddy. However, they have a lot more features, I think, that that I really like better than GoDaddy. I also find the speed of their sites on SiteGround now to be much faster. I was amazed that when I changed a couple of my sites over to SiteGround, how much faster they were than they are on the GoDaddy servers. Okay. There's also, you can get WordPress specific hosting like WP Engine, Pagely is another one. Those tend to be really expensive. I've met quite a few developers that use SiteGround and have had really great things to say about them. One of the features that they do have is that you can get an add-on. It's $12 for the year, and they check your site every week for malware. So making sure that somebody hasn't hacked into your site and tried to install some kind of malware. So that's one of the things that I like about them. Can everybody see my screen? They can see the WordPress blog. So what you should see is this is This is the default layout for 2016 for the a WordPress website. So this is the default thing. Notice that it's very minimal. A lot more themes are going to a minimal look and feel, only because more and more mobile, people are using more and more mobile. So they've kind of taken out all the junk and made it very, very minimal, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I just wanna give you a quick run through of WordPress. So I'm gonna log in. And this is the dashboard. So this is the hub of your website. This is where every time you log in, you are going to end up at this page. When you first install WordPress, you're going to get this Welcome to WordPress block up here that gives you some links on how to write your first blog post, add an About Us page, viewing your site, all widgets and menus, stuff like that. You can dismiss this at any time. Don't worry about losing it. Even if you dismiss it, you are not going to lose anything, okay? I'll show you how to find that again so you can dismiss that. You're going to get some messages here. Jetpack, if you do have a WordPress.com account, there are some functions and features of WordPress.com that you can use in your self-hosted version of WordPress, which is what this is. This is on my domain name. So you can get that. Again, all of these can be turned off. They have little sliders on them, so I can open and close them. This just gives you a quick snapshot of what's going on your website. So this at a glance will tell you how many pages, how many posts. By default, WordPress comes with one page, one post, one comment, okay? You can turn on and off the comments on your website in your settings, in the settings. So this gives you the quick snapshot of what's going on. You can open and close these activity. You can open and close them. Also, you'll see up here that you have a screen options. You can open that. The welcome that we just turned off, I can turn it back on, and I can turn it off from here. So if you turn something off on here, doesn't mean that you have to lose it altogether. So I'm going to take off my Jetpack thing there. Maybe I don't want WordPress news. All this is it's a feed from different WordPress websites that talk about different things. But I can turn it on and off anytime I want to just by clicking on the screen options up here, okay? So over here on the left side, this black bar, this is your main navigation. So this is where you will find posts and pages and appearance. This is where your themes and widgets are, plugins on how to get them. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly. I'm not going to actually do a page or a post. I'm actually going to be doing more classes. The next class that I am going to be doing is the settings, which people always forget about over here when you're trying to teach yourself WordPress. A lot of people don't know about these. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing another webinar, and that webinar is free, and it's going to be going through all of the settings, okay? Posts, so when you click on post, you can see I added a new one, all right? But you'll see a list of your posts here. If you add new, this is what you get. This is how easy it is to add content. You create a title for your post, and then you click in this box down here and you start typing. You can also copy and paste if you already have it in a Word document or something like that. You can copy it and paste it into this. All right? Very easy to add images. You have this add media button. I can go find, I don't have anything in my media library, but I can go select files. It goes out to my pictures folder and allows me to add any pictures that I want. Okay. But this basically is how simple it is to add content. Now, you'll notice that I have this format box over here. This is because of the theme that I'm using. This will not always be here. It depends on what you're doing. Publish box, I can save as a draft. I can also preview. I can publish immediately, or I can schedule this to be posted whenever I choose to post it. Okay. The biggest thing about a post, I'm going to close up this format, is the categories. So I can add categories. By default, you get one category. It's called uncategorized. Every post has to have a category. If you choose not to put any categories in, first of all, you're missing a huge opportunity to get information in, to be able to find information quickly and easily. Okay. Categories can also, you'll find categories, you can go in and add them yourself by coming over here to post, going to categories, and then adding a bunch of your categories as you go along. Okay. Pages. Pages are set up the same way. Notice you add a page title, you come in here and you start typing. What the page, the publish box is the same. So you can take a page and schedule it. This is helpful if you wanted to do a page that just went to a landing page. Maybe you wanted people to sign up for a workshop or something like that. You could create that page and then schedule it to go live whenever you wanted it to go live. Okay. You can set your order. There's a bunch of different things that you can set in here. But first and foremost, this is how you add your content. It's not difficult to put your content in there. The difficult part mostly is for once you get everything in there, how do you make it all work together? Okay. All right, so that's what I got for you. Again, I'll show you the themes. This is where you can add themes. These are the default themes that come with them. The widgets area. Literally, if I don't want recent comments, I just click and drag it over. Notice that this has a sidebar, content bottom 1, content bottom 2. So there's 2 areas down there for widgets and places that you can put in there. Plugins. So here are the plugins that are automatically installed. If I wanted to add new, I get this library. Here is my search box up here, so I can go in and I can search, export to Excel or XML, and then it gives me all of the, hit enter, and then it gives me all kinds of plugins that would that meet those words. Okay. So in a nutshell, this is WordPress. It's not difficult. It just requires, I guess, a different way of thinking. But once you wrap your head around all the parts and pieces, it is fairly easy to use and keep up to date. I find that most people, where they get stuck is getting it set up. But once it gets set up, they can easily add content and stuff like that going forward. Okay? All right. Any questions? You can unmute yourself if you want to and ask questions. That's fine. And if there are no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and say we're done.
Sheila,
Yep.
where can we get the recording of this if we want to review it?
I'm going to send it out to you. So it will be recorded, and I will send everybody an email. Once the recording is finalized, I'll send that out and you can watch it again.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some good information. And you can check my website, wpwithsheila.com, for, I'm going to start scheduling these like every 3 weeks or so to get everybody up to speed on WordPress. So thank you again, and feel free to email me and let me know how it's going, or if you have any questions. Until next time, bye.